The name of the book is How Money Works. The author, Steve Siebold, joins us via Zoom. We appreciate Steve's expertise. Steve, we promised to talk about couples and money. I found it interesting that you said actually two different money philosophies is a blessing in disguise. How so?
Well, I think it's almost like having two political parties, even whether, which party you're on, which side you're on. You kind of meet in the middle somewhere. And I think there's some real value to that, because maybe someone has a belief about they should spend more. They're kind of spendthrifts, and the other person's really conservative with money. And then you kind of meet in the middle, because there is something to be said for living your life and, getting the things you want and that type of thing. And then there's also obviously a big argument for being more conservative.
Yeah, whenever things get a little confrontational, you mentioned something, and I think it's even more true perhaps when you're talking about finances. You said pick your battles. So what is a battle worthy of fighting?
Yeah, anyone who's been married for over 10 minutes knows this one, right, John? I mean, you definitely have to pick your battles, which fight you want to really pursue. So the concept here, the idea here was just that if it's something small, then maybe let that one go. But if it's something that's really going to hurt you financially, which is easy to do, it's easy to spend money, especially, with Amazon out there, and, one click of the button and you can spend $1 million. It's pretty simple to do. That you might want to pick that fight, but maybe let the little financial things go.
I thought it was interesting, too, that, I understand that you want to have a nest egg and everyone's interested in your financial future, but you said experiences are important, things like travel and dining out. You think those may be worthy of spending a little money. How does that work, and how do you save money for those experiences?
Well, I think so many of the marriage surveys show that, experiences seem to be the things that we all remember more than buying things like bigger houses and fancy cars and, jewelry and all those kinds of things. I think we remember the times we shared together and how we felt when we shared them. And so I think just dedicating a little bit of money, whatever you can, if you can, to experiences, maybe going on a trip. It doesn't have to be expensive or anything like that. I think just enhancing the time that you spend with someone you love.
Steve, I thought it was interesting. You said, don't make it me versus you. Don't make it confrontational. And you said if you can actually come together with your spouse, you can be stronger for it. You believe that to be true. How so?
I think so. I think if you go into the me versus you again, if you've been in a relationship for more than 10 minutes, you know that you don't want to make it I'm right and you're wrong. I think that you've got to compromise, like in any relationship, but especially when it comes to money, because, it is such an emotional topic. And for many, many reasons, so belief systems, the way we were raised, philosophies of all kinds. But I think that you can't make it me versus you. Otherwise, it's kind of like politics. I mean, as soon as you start demonizing the other side and saying we're right and you're wrong, you're in trouble.
And a lot of times, whether it's the man or the woman, whoever makes more money seems to have more say. And you think that shouldn't be the way it is. You've got to be equal when it comes to financial discussions, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I think you got to really be careful of that one. That's very dangerous. And of course, we know that there's so many stories about, in some cases, even financial abuse, they call it, where someone who makes more money sort of lords it over the partner that, doesn't make quite as much. And boy, I think that's a very, very slippery slope that leads to disaster. So I think you want to be very careful. Leave the emotion out of it. Leave the numbers out of it. Whoever makes more money, maybe it's a stay-at-home mom type of thing where, the mom's raising 4 kids and maybe the dad's out there working. It could be vice versa. But raising the 4 kids, you maybe don't get paid, but wow. What a job, John. I wouldn't want that one for anything. That's a lot of work. They should be making $1 million a year doing that one.
Steve, are there any recommendations in terms of percentages of your income that you should put away or that you should invest? Do you have any hard numbers for us, or do you recommend it's all different for each and every couple?
Well, it is different for sure. But after interviewing the rich for 36 years, the self-made wealthy, what they do is they put away at least 20%. They live well below their means, and many of them factually live on. They put away more than 50% of their income. Then, when you reach a place where you're financially independent, you can put away all of it. And of course, that's what the super wealthy do. They don't spend hardly any money that they're earning. They put all of that away. And that's really the ultimate place to be.
You said something here that's easier said than done, because for whatever reason, when we start talking money, it's probably because we know how important it is, things get emotional. And you said keep your emotions out of it. How do you recommend we do that, Steve?
Yeah, I think you look at the numbers. You're right. It is difficult. No question. It's like many things in life, most things probably, they're easy to say and hard to do. So that's for sure. But I think you have to look at the logical numbers and say, if we spend today, what level of stress must we endure together as a couple tomorrow? And there's a lot to be said for the stress that breaks people up, actually causes divorce. And most of the reasons are money related. So I think we have to look at our spending habits and say, how is this going to affect our relationship tomorrow?
You know, this reminds me a lot about the reason that I go to church is because I want it to be applicable. I want to be able to use it in my life. And the problem with most financial books are I can't seem to apply them. You talk about relationships and how money affects those and about spending money in the right places to bring you closer. How did you come up with this? What was your personal philosophy? How did you arrive at your personal philosophy on money?
Well, it was really the result of my personal philosophy was really the result of interviewing self-made millionaires, like I said, for 36 years, over 1,300 personal interviews since 1984. And my co-author, Tom Matthews, has spent his entire life in the financial world. And we wanted to write a book that would be applicable so anyone could, like I said, anyone could understand it. And then more importantly, anyone could contact a financial professional and then apply the 7 money milestones. So they didn't have the pressure and the stress that's caused by worrying about money. It's really not necessary if you understand how money works. And that really was the purpose of the book.
And again, How Money Works, that's the title of the book. He is your author, Steve Siebold. Steve, I want to thank you for your expertise. Again, Amazon.com, right? Get that book.
Thanks, John. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Steve Siebold, once again, How Money Works, helping out couples, making sure you don't get too confrontational when you talk about your finances. All right, coming up here, let's talk about getting you back to life.